Here.
Bell.
Here.
Bernal.
Here.
Buckley.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Huberty.
Here.
King.
Here.
Mesa.
Here.
Talarico.
Here.
Van Deaver.
Here.
Quorum is present, members. The chair lays out as a matter of pending business, the committee substitute for Senate Bill 29. The chair moves to reconsider the vote by which the substitute was adopted previously. Any objection? Hearing none, the substitute has been reconsidered. Members, this is a bill we heard previously that would prohibit schools from allowing students to participate in sports of the opposite sex. Chairman King offers up the committee substitute to Senate Bill 29 that sunsets the date on September 1st, 2027. Is that right?
It is 5 years sunset.
Is there any objection to adoption of the committee substitute?
Yeah, there should be, Mr. Chairman, you should also mandate a UIL study during that sunset period.
That's what I was gonna ask. It does have a
Yes.
study that has to be in there.
It does have that.
Chairman,
Okay. Yes, question.
can I ask the sponsor what the study is studying?
Studying transgender athletes in general and how many they are and where, if there's a problem, whether there's a problem. I believe that's what Representative Gonzalez wanted to know.
I don't think there's a problem, but I think,
Any further discussion, members?
did you use the language that
I'm
Representative?
sorry, the chair recognizes Dr. Gonzalez.
Did you use the language that Representative Talarico had in his committee amendment?
Probably not. I didn't ever see his language, and I just directed my staff to write a substitute that said there will be a study. Yes.
Yes. Representative Mason.
Sunset period on this is in 7 years?
It's in 27, September 1st, 2027.
On 5 years. It's
Yes.
an awfully long time in a child's life.
Well, that sunsets the date. That's not when the study does. The study's gonna happen before that, I would expect.
Yeah, a study happens during that period.
Yes. Any further discussion, members?
Sure.
Representative Talarico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does the author of the committee substitute, if the bill is amended on the floor to become a lot worse, is the bill to be pulled down?
Well, one of the definition of a lot worse is going to vary, and so I'm not going to commit to that right now.
So let me clarify. If the changes you've made in the committee substitute are undone,
Those will not be undone. I will guarantee you that the study as well as the sunset date will stay in.
thank you.
I will commit to that.
Thank you, Chairman King. And what about conference committee?
They will stay in their conference. We've already had that discussion with others, and that was the deal, that those two things would stay in, and we give you that commitment.
Chairman?
Yes.
I appreciate that commitment. I think that's really important and grateful for that. I think the worry about if it gets worse, then they still would have to, it would maintain for 5 years a bad option. And so I appreciate the sunset, but I think the concern is it reverting to a place that, because on the floor, like I mentioned, last time we took this vote, you could add so many other things. And so I think that's a lot of the fear and concern and hesitation. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Any further discussion?
I don't. I mean, I think it's going to go forward. I took the suggestions that the last time we took this vote, and I tried to put them in the substitute, and I'm going to promise you that those changes will stay in, and we're gonna have this debate later. And I mean, I can't tell you what anybody else is going to do, but I gave you my word what I would do.
Chairman Huberty.
So, Chairman King, as you know, I think we've talked about this before. I serve as the chairman of the UIL committee. We dealt with this issue 6 years ago. I think when I talked about 6, 7 years ago in the commission. And so what we're doing is we're taking the current UIL rules, which you did, and we talked about this, is that correct?
That is correct.
So that we're dealing with the current UIL, we're not changing anything that is currently
That's right.
being done, is that right?
That's exactly.
And so what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we want to look and see, we're saying this is a problem. We don't know if it's a problem or not a problem, but what we know is that we want to make sure that, we go through this process and then if UIL will give us guidance as we move forward. And we haven't had really any incidents at all that we're aware of. With the situation.
And that's why I took the study language as well as the sunset language. I thought they were valid points, and I think telling UIL that we support what they're doing in the meantime until we do know if there is or if there isn't is just good policy, and that was our commitment.
And as we talked about this, you and I, various other members of this, but when we talked about this, so when people were saying that what the Senate Bill 29 is not what came over from the Senate, it's what you took in your staff and what worked on, is that correct?
That is correct. Senate Bill 29 as it came over is not in its.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yeah, Mr. Biddle.
I should turn on my mic. Just before we do this, I wanted to point out something that Chairman Keith said, and I appreciate what he's trying to do and memorialize what's in UIL, thinking that might be some sort of protection, but you said it best. You said, we're going to have this debate, right? And I think that the whole point is we don't need to have a debate here. There's nothing to debate, and only harm comes from the debate. And we've been saying the whole time this session that these folks and these kids in particular are used as a football, right? They're used as like a virtue signal of folks. And the fact that we're having this conversation today at all is sort of evidence of that. And so I think we just need to be done with it. A lot of us want this to go away for 1,000 different reasons. This is our chance to do it, because if we don't, you're right, Chairman, it's not going to be like this, where we've talked about it for months. It's going to be our colleagues doing everything they possibly can to make this work, to make this worse. And that debate that we're going to have is not worth it.
Any further? Chairman Hughes.
Yeah, I appreciate what Representative Biddle is saying, but the reality of the situation is the federal government is interfering with the education of our systems and creating rules and guidelines that exist in fact. And, we want to make sure that the rules that we have for Texas and what UIL has adopted are what we are operating under. And I think that's why we're talking about this, so I appreciate what you're saying. I understand that, but we do that all the time with the federal government. We come in and they hold that. So that I just want to clarify that. That's what's happening here.
Dr. Gonzalez and then Representative Tillery.
I think it's important to note that because of our rules, and we have an agency that has rules, and there hasn't been a problem, putting it in statute with the potential for it getting worse is the harm, right? Like, I don't want to say, like, I respect all the work that y'all have been trying to do, but there is no need for it to be in statute. And the harm could be exacerbated. And even the discourse creates a climate and environment for young kids in which they feel worse about themselves, and it contributes to their mental health, their anxiety, and their depression, which the ultimate consequences of that is suicide. And I think that I don't think we should just wave it off. Well, we're just codifying rules. That is not what we're doing here today. We are continuing a discourse that makes kids feel less than themselves. And that discourse has such real consequences. And the reality is the only reason when we all know we're doing this is not because there's a problem in policy and practice, but a political moment in time. And the ultimate consequence of that is children's lives. And so I've always believed, and the reason I've always loved the House is we have attempted to put politics aside for policy, especially the most of this committee. But in this moment in time, we can't be naive to the realities of what we're doing. And I just, thank you.
Representative Tillery, go.
Well, I just wanted to add, my amendment from the last time we did this has been brought up, and I just want to clarify that my study was in place of the bill, because you study to find out if there's a problem before you pass a bill, right? It boggles the mind that we would pass a bill and then create a study to determine if there's a problem. The other thing I also want to mention, and I think Dr. Gonzalez is absolutely right, we should kind of stop the performance. I know we all kind of play parts when we're up here in front of the public and when we're on the mic. But we know this is not trying to solve a problem. We're doing this for political reasons. We all know that. And when we get out of here, we'll all acknowledge that behind the scenes together. So I just want to make sure we have the courtesy, especially the trans people in the room and the families of trans people in the room and the ones that are watching across the state, to at least be honest with them that we're doing this because, like, Republican primary voters want this to happen, and some of us are worried about our primaries. I just wanted to leave us with one more thing. The words of our former House Speaker Joe Strauss, Representative Allison, your predecessor, when the bathroom bill, which this whole debate is very reminiscent of the bathroom bill, and when it was brought to him, he said, "I'm not a lawyer, but I am a Texan. I'm disgusted by all this. Tell the Lieutenant Governor I don't want the suicide of a single Texan on my hands." I think those words are so powerful, coming from a Republican speaker. That kind of courage is not easy, as we all know. That's hard to summon. But I have faith in each one of you as dear friends of mine that we can summon that courage when we take this vote right now. And I'm praying for each one of you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Allen.
Yes. I want to take this opportunity to speak for the kids who won't have that opportunity today. And I want to speak on the 5 years. For those years in high school, that will wipe out their high school years. 5 years will be 1 year back into middle school. And so we have wiped out the whole career of some children who are building a career to maybe they'll go into something else in their profession. And so I think we're doing a disservice to children who are already in a position not to defend themselves. This is a psychological crisis for kids, and so I want to speak with them, and so I want you to know that my vote will be no.
May I ask what 5 years are you talking about?
This is for a period of 5 years, am I right? If you, Representative Masa's, when you talk about the 2000, sunsets in 2007, 2027,
Yes.
is that 5 years?
Well,
Did we figure that out? Did you, huh?
okay.
Am I right? That's 5 years?
Probably 6, but that's close.
Okay, well, I was talking about 5 years. They're in high school for 4 years.
All right.
5 years would be 1 year of their middle school. So we have affected their lives throughout their high school years, their formative years, and then dip down into middle school. So we are truly punishing kids who don't deserve to be punished.
All right, let me back up, members, because I want to make sure, because I know the propensity of the final points of order. And I want to be sure that everybody understands where the chair is laying out the Senate Bill 29 that failed to be reported. And the chair moves to reconsider the vote by which this substitute was adopted. And without objection, hearing none, the motion failed. The chair withdraws the committee substitute without objection. At this time, Chairman King offers up a new committee substitute to Senate Bill 29 that sunsets on September 1st, 2027, and it incorporates the rule of the current rule with the UIL. Is there any objection to adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the substitute is adopted. The chair, well, before I do that, let me just say this. I don't know how big this problem is, and I wish I did because I'd be in a better position to make this vote. But I can tell you this. The bill that was killed last night affected far more children than this bill ever will. And so as a consequence, the chair moves that Senate Bill 29 as substituted be reported favorably to the full House with a recommendation that it do pass and be printed and show the chair voting aye.
Lozano.
Aye.
Allen.
No.
Allison.
Aye.
Bell.
Yes.
Bernal.
No.
Buckley.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
No.
Huberty.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Mesa.
No.
Tallarico.
No.
Van Dever.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 6. All right.
If the committee substitute for,
No.
there's 8 ayes and 5 noes. The committee substitute for Senate Bill 29 passes to the full House. Chair at this time lays out Senate Bill 1365 by Dutton Court. Members, this is a companion to House Bill 3270.